This is Lunch with Lloyd
on Dubai Eye 103.8.
Pleasure to welcome back to the show, Karl Feilder. How are you, Karl?
Very well, Mark. How are you doing?
Brilliant to have you on the show once again. And also a great friend of mine and fabulous musician. Envy his talent is Phil Pendlebury. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Mark, and you?
Brilliant. Now, when we last spoke, Karl, you were kind of, not putting the finishing touches, but were hard at work on your album. It was recorded, of course, throughout the lockdown, and now I believe it's complete and it's in boxes and we can download it. So tell me about the story of bringing it to fruition, Karl.
Well, I mean, as you say, Mark, we recorded the album during the lockdown, and the UAE did a proper lockdown, so Phil and I were physically distant when we recorded the album. We managed to get together towards the end of August and lay down all the vocal tracks onto the album, and that allowed us to put the whole thing together at long last, which was really cool. I have to obviously pay tribute to Phil. He is Amadeus, as far as I'm concerned. He just comes up with the most amazing
Amadeus.
stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And so we put the whole album together. It was released on the 24th of October. It's on all the download sites. We made a limited edition of CDs as well. All of it made, produced, mixed, mastered in Dubai. It's a Dubai album. And the band's called Sandstörm. I mean, how appropriate could that be?
Yeah, Sandstörm. And the album is called?
Midlife Crisis.
I know all about that.
Well, I think, you know, there's a lot of us, and I'm getting on a little bit as well, and there's a lot of us here in the UAE who've been here quite a while. And midlife crisis is a real thing. I mean, it's a real challenge for people. And going through that sort of challenge when you're a long way away from home, and your home country, I mean, although a lot of us regard the UAE as home now, but going through that when you're remote from all your family and stuff is really tough. And I thought, you know what, I can capture the emotion of that and try and put it together in a style of music that reflects our childhood. So, you know, a lot of you'll hear echoes in the music of probably Pink Floyd and Deep Purple and some of those great 70s and 80s bands. And we thought, what a great opportunity to do all this. We're locked in our homes. We've got nothing better to do apart from make music. Make music.
Now, Phil, I've got a feeling this has been a labour of love for you. You know, I know you're always producing stuff, you know, you're writing your own songs, but I just get the feeling, you know, what I've seen on social media, that really this has been a special project for you.
Yes, exactly as Karl said. In fact, that's one of the things that really came to light when Karl and I first met, is that we grew up with very similar tastes in music. Now, as you know, I've done pop and dance production. I've had chart hits, blah, blah, blah. But these days, there hasn't been a lot of opportunity for that style. So it was great that I knew what Karl wanted, and we were able to pursue that, you know.
It must be good when you get two talents that come together and you know you just click, Phil. It really must be a joy.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. And, of course, Karl's lyrics are very, very inspiring and stuff that will hit home to a lot of people, as he will explain to you in a minute, hopefully. But, yeah, definitely the only thing is, as Karl said, was the fact that we couldn't actually be sat next to each other while I was doing melodies, for example.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Karl, coming back to you, you've chosen a song called Taking Exception as your first single from this album. What made you choose it?
Well, the interesting thing, or at least I think it's interesting, is that I'm actually CEO of a company called Neutral Fuels. And we've spent the last 10 years converting waste into biofuel in the UAE to pioneer doing something to try and stop climate change. And with the album, and I also have a book coming out towards the end of this year, we've decided that we're going to try and have a cross-media way of getting the message across to people that climate change is very serious. We need to do stuff about it. All businesses need to take it very seriously. Taking Exception is a rally cry to entrepreneurs and innovators to get involved with sustainability, innovation in green projects. This is something that the UAE has totally embraced. And I thought this is just a great way of bringing people together from wide spectrum. Listen to the music, read the book, and then go out and try and make some green strategy choices.
Here's a clip from that first single from the album Midlife Crisis. This is Taking Exception.
Want some trouble? You've heard her shout. We need it now, and there's no doubt. Stop greenhouse gas, don't need those fumes. It will be hard, please don't assume. Together now, the path is clear, so we can all breathe fresh, clean air. Come on out, make nature thrive. We'll save the world from mankind. So now we have got your attention. We're taking exception to the state of the nation. No passive aggression, no hostile rejection, no more double inventions. We're taking exception.
So there's the lead single from the album, once again from Sandstorm. And how you developed that voice, Karl?
Oh gosh, well my vocal coach says that I've actually done fairly well because I stopped doing music when I was in my 20s and decided to have a career in the IT industry and then subsequently last 15 years in the sustainability space. And that means that my voice hasn't actually been used that much for the last few decades. And that means that now I've come back to singing, I'm able to deliver it with a younger voice than my age. And that gives me an extended range and more power. And something that, I mean, it's like everything, it needs training and it needs properly coaching. But it surprised me how much power I've been able to deliver. And I think even Phil was a bit surprised. And to impress Phil is something.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Now, you've chosen another song as well to highlight called Ride of My Life. What's the story on this one, Karl?
Ride of My Life is the story of how I met my wife. And it's a love song, and it's all about how we met, how we grew up together, how we raised a family together. And it's a duet with the wonderful Emily Peacock, and something that I'm extremely proud of.
Let's have a listen.
Her gaze was strong, did not take long. She came over with a smile, turned in my mind. She looked so kind, so I played her for a while.
I should gave my heart. We vowed to never part, and the weeks they turned into years. 'Cause we were more than a feeling, some sort of healing. It was strong, it was tight, and made everything right. It was the ride of my life.
Just loving it, Karl. Great lyrics and, yeah, a love song, but it's a real power one as well, isn't it? So, I mean, now that all the hard work's been done, Karl, I suppose you've got to get onto marketing this product and, get it out there. How do you do that?
Well, we're doing a lot on social media with it, obviously pushing it out as much as possible on the digital platforms. But because I can combine the album with the book with my normal work of promoting neutral fuels and biofuels, it gives us a triple platform to promote. And the media is obviously interested in something a little bit unusual and something upbeat that comes out of COVID. So we're not finding it difficult to get people who want to talk about it. And I think, especially as I think we've actually done a pretty professional job with the album.
It's superb. Phil, I bet there's part of you that, is sad it's kind of all over because, it got you through the summer,
Yeah.
didn't it? So what are you going to work on
Yeah.
next?
Well, absolutely. And let me just point out there that although we just got a clip there, the vocal from Emily
Yeah.
was just amazing. I mean, she absolutely nailed it, as we knew she would. So thanks to Emily for that. Next, well, we're doing another album, and I'm also working with some local artists. We've got Adam Fontaine, who you know,
Yeah.
a lovely lady called Gin Flora. She does some R&B kind of pop stuff, which we're moving forward with, which is I love that as well, believe it or not. It's another thing that I really enjoy doing, and some other local artists. But there will be another album for Karl, hopefully.
Absolutely brilliant. Well, Phil, scorching job on the production there, and Karl, I really wish you well with the album, and look forward to seeing much more. Is there a video as well? Very quickly, we've got 30 seconds. Is there a video to go with that single?
There will be. There will be a video for Taking Exception coming out really soon.
Awesome stuff. Well, Karl Feilder, Phil Pendlebury, you are exceptional. Thank you very much, guys, for sharing your music with us on the show. And do check it out. From Sandstörm, it's called Midlife Crisis. And you heard it first right here on Dubai Eye 103.8. 103.8.